Yeah, think outside the coffin. Don't say I'm too old, I cannot dance anymore, I cannot wear colourful clothes anymore. I cannot look sexy. Why not?
Let's talk about something that's maybe a little bit uncomfortable for a lot of people, right? Talk about finances with me. The elderly are facing currently that's maybe preventing them from being more free and really enjoying their retirement life, so to speak.
In Malaysia, for example, it's shocking to hear the statistics, right? That I think about 80% of the older people, when they retire, they don't have enough money to retire. And that is very sad. And you can't depend on your older children because they too also they have the financial commitments to their own family. You have to take care of yourself. So the advice is always to start early, like both of you. But if they've missed, the train, early train, never too late. You can always go back to work. Of course, at work, they also face a huge problem, age discrimination, right? Because there's a cutting age for employment. So that's why I strongly urge a lot of our seniors to pick up a bit of digital skills, technology, and then go into your own business. If you really need the money, we call the silver economy. In a way it is, because we are we are the market. Even though we are the market, our needs are not met. So there's lots of potential for even young people to look into this field, the aging field, the silver economy.
Right.
A lot of older people, we are the professionals, we have money, we're looking for things that are not supplied. Clothes.
Okay.
Our bodies, see my body, are different from your body, so slim. But we are different. Our body size is different. And our taste in clothes is different. We don't want to look for clothes only in the night market. That's our needs.
One.
Have somebody think of some ideas,
Give me two more.
Another one is gyms. But the thing about gyms is that the weights, they're not safe for older people. If they drop it on their toes, my gosh, it will break. So we have an alternative gym. And then the third one I can think of, home services. Because a lot of older people, they can't get out. Either they're not mobile or there's no one to accompany them, so they're stuck in the house. Grandparents or parents need the services. Then you get the idea. It's all about thinking creatively. Find out where there's a gap, fill it.
Today. So the lifespan is very different. But now, with exactly like you said, as this gap becomes longer, then we need to figure out, I mean, very curious, and if you retire at 60, 55, and let's just assume that we're all very healthy and we're happy that we can live until we're 100. What are we going to do for the next 50 years? 40, 50 years.
I'm surprised you asked that. Yes, you're visualizing a world where when you turn 60, there's nothing left. It's emptiness.
I don't think it's emptiness.
Emptiness inside, you're no longer working. And so what's there? What's out there?
Yeah, and not scaring people. Oh, I guess in some ways scaring people. Well, what are you going to do after, after retirement?
Singapore's, our former Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew, he said, if he had his way, no retirement age. Let people continue to work as long as they themselves want to work, and as long as they're fit. But then on the other side, you need to have, businesses, companies, employers get on board this idea that to open the doors to older people and accept them. I love a lot of things that Singapore is doing. They're succeeding with this because I see a lot of older people in Singapore still working.
That's awesome.
And that's great, because I always feel that once you allow people to work, older people to work, number one, they help relieve you. You don't have to take care of your older parents. They are independent. They have their own income.
Sure.
Number two, the government will save billions on healthcare, welfare.
Right.
Right.
Tell us a little bit more about SeniorsAloud, like your purpose in this drive. How is your organization making the world a better place for everyone who's in need?
Okay, like I just said, we are making a better place for our children. They don't have to, be so worried about us. We can take care of ourselves through education, through work, through managing our own finances by working longer, by saving earlier. And I think most of all for my community and for myself, As a source of whatever knowledge or expertise or sharing, we can help you. And we like to do volunteer work. We volunteer to make the community a better place for everyone. Volunteerism is huge with us. This is one example. This is our second calendar. It's a more than a calendar. As you can see, we promote healthy aging. We focus every month. Let me just show you. See the importance of strength training. And over here, these are all the health tips, how to age well, right? And these are all our groups. And every month we feature group activities and how this particular group activity can help you age well. So it's all about aging well.
Yeah.
Living longer and aging well. So this is what we do, and we publish this, and the proceeds go towards helping aged care homes.
In Hong Kong, we used to go to the alone living elders, and then we send like festive gifts to them, like mooncakes, and you talk to them, or you go to the elder hosting homes. But the thing is, what I realize is when we do that, I see, because everybody's so happy on the picture and the calendar, right? In Hong Kong, when you go there, usually you feel the sad vibe from the elders. So they're very tired, old.
I did a documentary on focusing on an aged care center, and I can understand why many of them are very depressed. Some of them are there because they were abandoned. In fact, there was one elderly I interviewed. They found him at the entrance, in a wheelchair, alone in a wheelchair with nobody around. They had no choice but to take him in. I don't know whether it's the children who abandoned him or I have no idea, but he was there. So there's one example. And then there are others who are left there by their children, not abandoned so much, but because the children cannot take care of them, they are busy, they have their own family commitments. So they tell the parent, Papa and Mama, sorry lah, we cannot take care of you anymore. Either because you have some physical health problem, we have nowhere we can look after you. We don't have the money. If we have to put you there in this aged care home. So there are many, many cases of these nowadays because the family setup is different. A lot of young people cannot take care of the older parents. So they say, of course, those who can afford it, send it to a nicer place. Those who can't afford it will send to those you've seen in Hong Kong, where everybody's miserable because they were dumb there. We use the word dumb there.
So Asians, we tend to have the culture like what we mentioned earlier, like we help each other, right? We don't request the kid to go from our home at the age of 18, and of course accountability for your parents, health, welfare, right? How you have to look after them when they're older.
Right.
Versus in the Western, most are more independent, right? Even the parents, they are older, they have their own villa and still have to take care of themselves. How do you think good relationship should be? So in a scenario, for example, am I obliged to have to take care of you even I don't have the ability to? Like I have a hard time taking care of my own family. My kids need me, right? My parents need me. I think that's a lot of, this is a very big question that bothers a lot of
So the sandwich generation.
sandwich generation, you're right.
Because a lot of people are aware of what to do to be healthy. They are aware of what to do to have enough money. It's just whether they want to do it or not. But they know at least. But the thing about this is that when you are old and your children, it's all based on relationship. Let me take me and my daughter Moon, for example. I'm very, very grateful and thankful that I have a fantastic relationship with Moon, for example. Even though I live alone now, and she tried so hard, how many times, to get me PR in Singapore, so that I could at least live with her. And if I don't want to live with her, at least I can go to a home or something in Singapore that's a nice one. She's not going to abandon me. So relationship is so important. Cultivate a bond between parents and the adult children. It has to work that way, even grandchildren. So you never know what the future holds. So please try and make sure that you have a good bonding, a good relationship with your children. Of course, there'll be squabbles. It's all natural. But in the end, if the relationship is strong enough, it will always be there. Because the parents will understand. As long as, in the documentary, the founder of that home, said, it's okay, we understand perfectly when you leave your father or mother with us. We understand. Because you don't have the time or the resources to look after, you got a lot of other commitments. We understand. But all we want you to do, in fact, some places that make you sign. When you leave your parent there with them, you must sign. And one of the clauses said, you must visit. You must visit them regularly so they don't feel abandoned, they still feel loved, right? And secondly, the person running the home must have a good program, daily program for them to enjoy activities, to share, so that there's life
Yeah.
Okay.
to be alive, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe we should actually talk about the future, because I think a lot of people in the future won't have kids, or even if they have kids, maybe, well, life are very independent
Yes.
nowadays.
Yes.
So what do you think are the options for us to prepare for our retirement?
We are actually seeing some new ideas coming into place right now. Like for my community, I'm already encouraging some of them, find your tribe, right? Because you may be aging alone when your spouse passes away and your children are overseas, or you're not married, you're single. Let's say, for example, you have very important to find your tribe. 2 or 3 enough. You don't have to have a big group, right? Because they have to, preferably your tribe should have different age levels. For example, don't choose all 80-something years old, all die at about the same time. Cannot look after each other. You know, you may have one 80-something, you yourself 60-something, another one be 50-something. You know, that kind of thing. Then you can help one another, you know, well. And then when you feel that it's no longer safe for you to live alone, because you may fall, or you may have a heart attack, nobody's there, you know, then you get together with your tribe. And then you rent a place. The 3 of you, 2 or 3 of you share an apartment. Or better still, one of you own an apartment, right? And then you lease out, rent out. But you choose, because you know these people, they're your friends, they're not strangers. So you live together, you share a live-in maid or a domestic helper. You share everything.
Many things are growing, I think, to cater the age of the aged group. So I researched a little bit. In China, there's already like university for elders, and then there are some organization or projects that focus on nutrition for elders. So in China, and I know I've heard a lot of real estate projects that are focusing on the real estate development only caters to like not only but specially focus on elderly.
China, there are quite a few.
Just like a condo next to each
Yeah,
other. Those kind of development projects.
Florida has a lot of them. The retirement homes here. Florida.
Yeah.
A lot.
I
There are
think
many,
so.
many different, what do you call that, setup. How do you set up this kind of home? Many different options are for people. I believe in options. I love options. We actually came up with a book, a community book, which I edited, my idea actually, where the seniors in our community, they contribute stories, you know, about the past to share with other seniors, and also to leave behind a legacy for the children. So they know what it was like, grandma was like in those days. Like they see pictures of me in my old days. My grandchildren cannot believe I wore miniskirt. For example, you know, I wore miniskirt, very mini. Yeah, and I love to dance, you know, things like that. Grandma actually meant dating, okay? So there's a lot of things that, you know, it's interesting for grandparents and grandchildren to share. The adult children are always caught in the middle, too busy for all these things. They got work to do, they got other commitments. And our book, community book, was called, you know, Our Stories, Our Legacy. It's a collection of stories from, you know, grandma and grandpas. So for the children.
Yeah, I think you have a lot of interesting ideas and concepts. So you're only active, like SeniorsAloud, not you, but SeniorsAloud is now only active in Malaysia.
Oh no, we have got members from Florida. There's one from Florida. A lot from Singapore, Australia as well. Because we are online. We are a completely online group. The first thing people ask when they're curious, what's your address? Where are you? I said, we have no building, we've got no venue, we've got no office, nothing. That's why we don't need to charge.
Yeah.
We are all online. And how do you get together? We run by WhatsApp. Every group is a WhatsApp group, subgroup WhatsApp group, and we have administrators for each group, and they organize activities. So we combine them together 1 year over 1,000,
Yeah.
and nobody gets paid. Because they are seniors, retirees, right? They offer their service. They're happy to do it. So that's how we grew so fast.
That is really amazing.
I always tell people, when you have the passion and action, they act like magnets. They attract the right people to help you. They attract the
really
right
like that.
resources.
Yeah.
For sure. It's been tested time and time again.
And actually, I think the major problem comes with mental, because like how we see elders and how elders think of themselves because of how they're taught. I think that's like the core of it.
Yeah, that's one thing also I'd like to, encourage seniors to think better of themselves. Don't think of themselves, too old already, ready to die. I said, think outside the coffin. Not outside the box. Think outside the coffin. Don't say, I'm too old, I cannot dance anymore, I cannot wear colorful clothes, I cannot look sexy. Why not?
Yeah,
things
why
like that.
not?
Yeah, why not?
Absolutely, why not? I love that. I really, really admire that mindset.
And like my takeaways of the day is that actually elders, like interesting fun facts of the day, not all the takeaways, but it's that elders actually doesn't like the clothes that we sell on the market. It's a mindset that you've given me today, that actually what we're seeing is not, it doesn't mean that it fits their needs. So it's a really good lesson.
There is still so much that we can do for our more senior populations, right? We're very focused on what we need to do at the moment, and we don't always kind of think far further out. So hearing what you have shared and also understanding SeniorsAloud is to understand that there's so much more we can do and so much more we have to do.
Right. I'm glad that the message got through.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
I'm honored, delighted to share.